G'day everyone, welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'll be Nat, this will be my Knackers Yard. It's pretty rammed at the moment. Dog's supervising me. We're just about to go into the kitchen and sort out the hugger from the paint yesterday. Looks okay, there's a few bits on it I don't like, but frankly, fortunately they're all in the wrong place, i.e. you can't see it. The right place, I suppose. Tank has got its 5 litres of white vinegar in it. It's holding, it's not leaking, it's fine, but I'm in no rush to get that out until I've got the tank liner stuff in there. So I'm just going to keep, giving it a good slosh around throughout the day. More than that, but I can't do that with one hand. Right, let's get in the kitchen. We'll have a look at this hugger. Right, so we're in the kitchen, unusually without a dishwasher going or a washing machine, but I'm sure it will shortly. This has been in the airing cupboard overnight. That mark has come through, and there's a couple of little ones kicking through. There you go, that's one of the splats from the can that I mentioned on the last upload, which I need to rub down a little bit. There's another one on this side somewhere, where is it? There we go, top end there. Right, so a bit of a rub down because it is quite orange peely. I would be quite happy to throw that on the bike, frankly, but I'd like to get it a little bit better, I think. Wet sanding. This is wet sanding. So going 1500 grit first. This is wet sanding, people. Put your paper in water and soak it, not spray it, because that is just damp sanding. I like these sponges, not to rub directly on, but to have under the tap, and I like them because they bend and curve, particularly with something like this. If you have a flat surface, you're just going to burn holes. So weight of your hand stuff, and I'll do a few passes and then bring you back in, nice and gentle. Right, so a few minutes later. This is not a quick process. Try and do it quickly, you'll cock it up. Put something on to keep you amused throughout. That's Charlie, the motorcycle rescuer, chatting away in the background. I've just turned him off. Shame you can't do that in real life. Yeah, so I've got the orange peely effect. I'm just pushing through a little bit. I'm not going to go nuts on this. I've got rid of the bits that I needed to, i.e. the flex where it spat. I need a little bit more on that one, just there. A little bit more on the other side as well. I'm not going to go for fluff. I've had a bit of a reconsider. I'm not going to go for, a full-on shine, if you like. It's a hugger. Nobody ever polishes their hugger, for crying out loud. At best, it gets a wet rag thrown across it. So I'm going to go for getting rid of those. I'm going to give it a quick belt through the 1500, 2000, 2500, and then go for it. And it's going to be a little bit rough and ready, but like I say, it's a hugger. That's what they're for. So I'm just going to do a little bit more where there's blemishes, where I know I could probably do better with, but I'm not going to go full bore like I do on a tank. There is just no point on something like this. Let's get this looking better. So there we go. That's probably the quickest I've ever polished anything, or I've ever rubbed something down. But like I say, I want it, not rough, but I don't want it smooth. That sounds wanky, but you know what I'm saying. It doesn't need to be great or perfect, but actually it's not too bad. It's wet, so it's going to look better than it is. Right, I'm going to break out my drill and my compound, and let's see how we go. Right, so compound time. That's me set up. Little mop on the end of a drill. I prefer using a smaller drill actually, but it's run out of charge. So it's supposed to be damp. This is the compound that I use. I was a big fan of Halford's Finest and Cheapest. I thought I'd try something different. I've tried this. I think I actually prefer Halford's. It's got a bit more grit and meat to it, but just watch the edges. You don't want to burn through your lovely paint. That might be a little bit too wet actually. One thing I do like about this torch, this drill, is that little torch on it is quite handy for this. keep it going and cover the whole area. I'll probably just fast forward there because this will be really dull watching all of it. Both pretty much out of charge, wonderful. Good prep that. That's looking pretty okay actually. That's certainly looking good enough for this task. Talk about my bowling ball shine, I've pretty much got it. A nice flat surface, flat matte shine. Which is pretty much what I have there. So it just looks like, you know, nice raw plastic. It's still a little bit orange peely, but absolutely fine for a hugger. It's not a centerpiece of the bike. Right, just going to dry that off and then break out my Meguiar's Colour Richener Reviver. Damn it, didn't record. Arse. Right, that's the stuff I use. I freaking love it. There's no paid endorsements here, but I'll happily say good things about good products for free, and that is brilliant. So just bang it on. I tend to hand buff once it's on, so again, obviously different mop. Don't mix your mops up, so if you use this for compounding before, don't use it for this. So they're different colours, just have a mental colour code. I go orange for compound, black, then blue. Is the easiest way for me to remember. So yeah, I tend to hand buff because I have done it on a machine mop before on a practice piece and it just burnt through. Fortunately it was a practice piece because that would have been fairly heartbreaking to trash it at the final process, particularly with something like a tank. Yeah, I learnt my lesson on a practice tank. I think it was the one first time I used the air gun. But anyway, right, let me go swap. I'm going to get me Tech Wax. Alright, so that's what I use. Tech Wax, I think it's 2.0 next generation NXT. There you go, Tech Wax 2 paste. Looks like that, obviously normally with a lot more in it than that. But I'm quite a heavy user. Again, massaging it in. And again, I'll fast forward here because this is dull to watch. Right, so giving it a little bit of time to dry to a haze, just while I tidy it up, put the kitchen back together. It's slightly intrusive on the rest of the household if I take over the kitchen for the morning. Yeah, this is coming up fine. It's actually coming up better than I'd expected. Right, that's actually come up pretty good. Really good actually. Right, let's get it mounted, see how it looks. And are we ready for the big reveal? I think Carl is right, and that really makes it difficult to see past that exhaust actually, but I think that makes such a difference. It's not perfect, there's marks in it, there's grooves in it, but it's a 20-year-old bike. 21-year-old bike. That really balances out. It was a bit black at the back, but that looks so much better. Happy with that. Up close, the pinstripes are okay, but I've got a little bit of primer showing underneath, but I'm fine. That's more visible than I would have liked, but first ride is going to get dirty. It's something to always consider when you're pissing around with bikes and painting. They're never going to be pristine. Bikes are made to be used, not stared at constantly. Anyway, me ranting. I'm happy with that. Right. In fact, I'm not happy with that. I'm really happy with that. That looks really good. Love it. A couple of people said about the negative, wouldn't have thought of doing it negative. Well, you can see how bad that is now, for fuck's sake. There's no fuel under there, it's just air. There's fuel under the other one on the other side. A few people are saying about the negative bit, the photo, wouldn't have thought of doing it in photo negative. Look, this describes perfectly why. If this was the other way around, if this was orange and black, and actually the orange is better on that because it's thicker, I have to reconsider my rattle can option. If this was orange, you'd have a meeting of orange on black there, which I think would just look wank. That, blends in when you move back 8 paces. Yeah, that's why. And I think it works. The orange is coming through lighter on a spray can. It's not a great colour match. Which I may reconsider rattle canning. That I might just go for it and see how much. Just go for that can and a half and see how it goes, because it is a bit lighter. Worst case scenario, if it's not, doesn't go dark enough, I'll just go over it again with paint gun. But the colour is certainly better on the tank than it is on the back. It's one to consider. I'm not quite. I wouldn't want the tank to look, the paint to look quite so thin overall. Could have held it against the tank actually, just for a colour contrast. I mean, it's good enough, don't get me wrong, it's more than good enough. But I would have liked it deeper burnt orange. It's difficult to get across on a camera, but it's a bit lighter. Anyway, I'm nitpicking. I'm nitpicking on details that I currently have no right to be nitpicking on, because there's still a fair amount to do inside the tank. I'm going to leave that doing its thing until my sealant rocks up. It is doing what it needs to, but that'll do me for this one. A relatively simple one, I suppose, but looks a lot better. That'll do me for this one. Cheers all, catch you later. Ta-da.